it's a shame that he, based on his comments, you would assume that he doesn't, lick any sniz himself, which is a shame because a man of his habits, heavy drinker, heavy smoker, and very, overweight, unhealthy. I mean, I'd imagine that's the only thing he can do in the bedroom. That might be the only thing he could offer to her.
That might be, just saying. I think that is a very, very good hypothesis. And I would tend to agree with you. If he's not functioning down there, or he's a mushroom, well, we know he's a Trump mushroom gobbler, but he might be a mushroom man himself. And if that were true, allegedly, if that were true, and he's not able to please a woman, you would think that is something. I think that's very reasonable, your hypothesis. And I had a debate with Andrew Wilson, regrettably, not because I lost the debate or anything. It just the guy is just a complete moron. He doesn't know how to actually have a real debate on the issues. Instead, he wants to talk about philosophy, and he wants to talk about where he gets his ethics from. I mean, it's like impossible to even have a real conversation with him. But I wanted to play you this clip because Andrew Wilson, who I do believe is a fake Christian, and I can give a lot of reasons for that. We'll talk about it. He had a debate a few weeks ago, and this clip actually went viral. She's known as Charlie, and she's debating him on ethics. And she makes a very valid point that if you call yourself a Christian man and you're living by this, this, and this, then why would you marry a woman that has 3 baby daddies? I think that's a very fair question to ask. And I want you to listen to the way the really good, wholesome Christian responded to her. It's absolutely despicable. Have a listen to this.
I'll try to rephrase this. I'm going to reframe. And I'm just going to be totally honest with you. I will never be able to convince you of my worldview.
You won't.
I know. But the reason is not because I'm not a great orator, or I don't make good points, or I haven't said things which should be compelling to a person. But Charlie, I just think honestly you're too stupid to understand them.
So Andrew, can I sell you on my worldview?
Yes.
Your wife has 3 baby daddies and has been married twice before.
And you you lick sniz.
Under your religion.
You lick sniz.
What is that?
You're a dyke. Don't talk about my wife, you stupid bitch. Shut your mouth. Shut your stupid mouth.
Your wife with the 3 baby
What did
daddies?
I just say? Dyke?
Your wife with the 3
Sorry,
baby daddies?
I'm sorry, dyke. Is she morally inconsequential in comparison to your ditch licking?
Do the men that you try to...
Do the women that you tried to...
your hatred against...
Do the women that you tried to...
them that they shouldn't...
Charlie, did I bring...
Women? Do they know
Charlie,
that
did I bring your family...
5 years older?
Did I bring any of your family...
stupid.
Did I say anything about your family being stupid, Charlie?
You could.
It's because I'm better than you, Charlie.
No, it's because you're embarrassed, and you know that the traditional values that you try to sell people on are because you are not a traditional man.
Chuck, let's go through it.
You are not a traditional man.
Let's go through it, Chuck. Tell me what I'm doing which is immoral.
Traditional man. He's actually a fake Christian douchebag, chain-smoking moron. Anyway, that woman who was attacked for her sexuality, which is absolutely repugnant and despicable, in that video that went viral, joins us right now, known as Charlie on social media. Charlie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. I wanted to ask you, when you hear that clip over again, because it's got millions and millions of views and it went viral, what goes through your mind when you hear that over and over again?
I think that just shock that a grown adult man could conduct himself that way. I don't think anyone has ever spoken to me in that way since high school.
It's horrible. And when I questioned him on that, he said that, well, you got personal with him. And not that you need anybody to defend you, but your question, I think, was very valid because you're talking about a man with traditional Christian values and you decided to marry a woman who has 3 baby daddies, and then he took offense to it, right?
Well, yeah. And, our debate was on if feminism is good for society. And before he rudely interrupted me, my point was going to be that, to marry a previously married woman and a woman with children with multiple men who has, applied for child support in the past, was able to like just the gains of feminism she benefited from. and thus so did Wilson. That was my point, is that how can he hate feminism so much when his wife and him have, profited so much off of it? It allowed them to be married.
Absolutely. And I want to be clear. I don't think you said anything wrong. I don't think you did anything wrong. It was a valid question. Let's just hypothetically for a second think that, okay, you went personal on him. It was a personal attack, which, by the way, I don't think you did. Even if you did do that, why would he attack you because of your sexuality? It's like, first of all, it's disgusting. It's like a second-rate insult. This is the same idiot, and yes, I'm going to call Andrew Wilson an idiot, who sells debate courses for $250. And his idea of debating someone when he gets upset is to demean someone because of their sexuality. Wow, how Christian of him to do that, right?
Right, exactly. And what does my sexuality have to do with the debate?
Nothing
at all. Meanwhile, his wife, by the way, who is a political commentator, had been peppering the chat, the YouTube super chats with insults directed towards me the entire time before I ever brought her up, which you can see on the screen. Like, her insults were coming up on the screen, big and right there for me to read the entire time. And I'm not supposed to, I guess I'm supposed to leave her alone as if she's like some sheltered housewife who doesn't own a computer.
What a shocker that she decided to marry this guy. By the way, she seems to be very successful in marriages. And very successful with men. How many fathers now does she have? Have they had a kid together? I don't even know. Not that I really care, but
I'm not sure. I think they have 2 kids together, which is just deeply unfortunate for those children.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a worse fate than having Andrew Wilson as a father. Like, imagine like having to tell people at school that your dad is like, his job is just like belittling people on the internet.
Yeah. And I want to explain, and Charlie, I don't need to explain this to you, but I guess for argument's sake, I will. So he doesn't even directly necessarily talk to me. He has on DM on social media, but he has this guy named Jake Rattlesnake. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Just another clown. And like Andrew wanted me to apologize to him because apparently he thought I did a hit piece on him. This is what a baby this guy is. After he insults you for your sexuality, calls you names, I'm told by Andrew, quote, if you want a round 2, then you have to acknowledge that I tried to make peace. By the way, he didn't try to make peace. And the very first thing you do is make hit pieces on me. You need to apologize for that. First of all, I'm not apologizing to him. Second of all, I called him a moron. I've called him some names. He's done the same thing to me. So it's like the worst thing in society. One of the worst things about character traits is when people can dish it out, but they can't take it, right? You calls you a dyke. I hate to even repeat that because it's so ridiculous and disgusting. The sniz comment, which, by the way, I've never even heard that before. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never
heard it before either.
I've never heard anybody tell somebody to lick sniz. I've heard them say other things in regards to that, but I've never heard that before. This is the first time. I don't know where he got that from. So, I told him that he should probably do that to his wife sometime. It might make their marriage better. But the incredible thing about some of these people, I think you'll agree with me. A lot of these people on the far right that call themselves these evangelical Christians. Listen, Charlie, I think they hide behind their religion for their, bigotry. They attack gay people. They attack minorities, so on and so forth. They think gay marriage should be illegal. And the abortion issue, which really that's all Andrew wanted to talk about with me. I think they use their religion to hide their bigotry, racism, and misogynist behavior.
Absolutely, because I know so many Christians who, regardless of how they feel personally, they are always cordial and kind and seem to take to heart Jesus's teachings to, love thy neighbor, to, not throw stones if you yourself are not free of sin. That is, to me, Andrew Wilson does not seem to be much of a Christian in that capacity. He just uses.
I don't think he's much of a human being. I don't think he's much of a human being, let alone Christian. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. When you make misogynist comments about people and attack people because of their sexuality, he's a very insecure man. And that's another thing, too. When I was debating him, and it wasn't much of a debate, he said that he, quote, destroyed you. That's what all these idiots do. Like, all they say to themselves, oh, I destroyed her. I beat her in a debate. I destroyed her. First of all, he didn't, number one. And number two, what are you? Like, it reminds me of like a 10-year-old coming home from school and you had some sort of debate with your teacher or with another classmate, and then you go home and you say, Mommy, Daddy, I beat somebody in a debate. That would be fine if you're 10 years old. Andrew Wilson isn't a grown man. Why does he have to always prove to everybody that he's the master debater? I would call him the masturbator. We'll ask his wife about that. But in all seriousness, like, why do these people always have to? I won the debate. I destroyed you. I beat you. I dog walked you. How insecure are you as a human being? Let other people decide that, jackass. That's my opinion.
Right. Well, I mean, when we consider his audience, I think he might have to declare victory just so that they get it. You know, they might not otherwise, but no, that's the most frustrating thing in the world, is because with his dumb debate courses, I've debated people who took it. It is literally just learning how to deflect, avoid answering questions, never make like a clear stance, and to insult. And then you always have to declare victory at the end. That's the cherry on top. But unfortunately, most people can't talk as fast or as nasally as Andrew Wilson, so it's not as effective.
Yeah, and he's wanted to have a second debate with me because we didn't really have much of a debate the first go around. It was supposed to be about Donald Trump's ethics, not where Andrew Wilson gets his ethics from, and it certainly wasn't supposed to divulge into abortion. For example, I understand Andrew calls himself pro-life. I think he's the opposite of that, but just for argument's sake, okay, he's anti-abortion. Every single time I would bring up something Donald Trump does or says or a policy, his retort to that would be, it's not as bad as 600,000 babies being murdered, talking about abortion. That's not a debate. And it's like, that's not how you have a conversation with somebody. And I'm almost at a loss for words with this guy, but I do want to share some breaking news while you're here, Charlie, if that's okay. So he has canceled the Un-F America Tour debate he was supposed to be having with Myron Gaines, Destiny, and Adam Mockler. I learned from several really good sources, because I thought that was really strange, because I think Andrew wants attention, right? He craves attention. It's why he's a chain smoker on Piers Morgan. Well, I learned through several sources that they have told me that the people at Turning Point don't want him at AmFest. They don't want him there. I've heard from some very good sources they don't want to give him a credential, and they don't want him there. So what I think happened, and I'm giving an educated opinion allegedly, is that he knew that he wouldn't be accepted at AmFest, so he didn't want to go there just for the Un-F America Tour debate. So that's why he canceled, because he's a fraud. That's why. That's my take on it. I don't know what your take.
How embarrassing that TPUSA didn't even want him, because I feel like that's what matters a lot to Andrew and Rachel Wilson, is being attached to famous people, sucking up to famous people. They do it a lot with Steven Crowder and Nick Fuentes, oddly enough. And that must have crushed him, because that's what they care about.
I agree. Is he close with Fuentes? I didn't know that.
I don't think that they're close with Fuentes, but it's my understanding that Rachel and Andrew have been trying to court Nick Fuentes' audience, the Groypers. Rachel Wilson on her X page was bragging about how her freshly 18-year-old daughter would be a Groyper's wet dream, because she's freshly 18. She has 0 bodies, making her sound like an amateur killer. Geez. And she's a Christian. And what happened allegedly is that they hooked her up with some 27-year-old Groyper in New York. Like, that's how far they're willing to go, apparently, is to, kind of raffle off their daughter to the highest bidder.
That's
whoever
pretty.
Gets them the most clout.
If that's true, that's pretty disgusting. And here's something else in my debate. So I had talked about certain aspects of Andrew's life per se, but I didn't really go into detail. But what I did do is I quoted what he called you. I didn't misquote him, the sniz comment and the other comment about your sexuality. I didn't misquote him. I didn't take it out of context. You upset him because he's a very insecure little chain smoking man. You upset him. And I just quoted what he said. And then he responds by saying, well, you told your ex-girlfriend to kill herself. First of all, that's entirely not true, and that's completely false. Yeah, like I don't even know where he got that from. Completely made up. And there's nothing funny about suicide. And I said that to him. You know, we can joke around a little bit about his stupid comment about sniz, right? It was pretty despicable what he said, but it's like 10-year-old humor. There's nothing funny about making something up about telling somebody to kill themselves. I take that very seriously. I just think he's it's awful. He's very mentally disturbed, and I will not be apologizing to him. He can continue to chain smoke all he'd like, but what would you want to say to him now? I know you probably never will be debating him again, and rightfully so. I don't think he deserves to debate you again, but if you had the opportunity to speak with him privately, what would you say to him?
I would say that I think that he needs to go to AA. During our debate, he was drinking heavily the entire time and was upset that Brian, the host of the Whatever podcast, didn't have hard enough liquor for him. And he kept having to run off to the balcony to smoke. And I've seen him, every time he's on a show, he's chain smoking, like you said, and he's drinking heavily. And if someone cannot function without a substance, which it appears that he has, developed a physical addiction to alcohol and cigarettes, that like how you can't do that to yourself. Like at some point you have to realize that the way that you're living your life is going to kill you eventually. So I would encourage him to go to AA for his own health, but also because, to be honest, I feel like the vitriol that I was met with on his part, a part of me is very curious if that was, a result of him not being able to get his fix. I'm sure many people have experiences with addicts who can't get whatever they're fiending after, and then they lash out, and it's a horrible thing how bad that can get. I've seen many of my own family members struggle with addiction, and it can be life ruining. And so I would say to him, you need to go to AA.
I think that's not well. I think that's very nice of you to say. If that is true, I certainly would want him to get the help that he needs. I think it's fair to say he certainly has a huge addiction to nicotine. He can't get through an interview or debate on national TV, by the way, millions of people watching Piers Morgan. He did it when I was on with him. That he has to chain smoke. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's like somebody who would be addicted to food so badly that you'd have to eat a sandwich in the middle of being on with Piers Morgan. First of all, it's extremely unprofessional. Let's just call it for what it is. I don't care how much you love your cigarettes. The fact that you can't hold off during on the Piers Morgan show and you have to chain smoke says a lot about you. He needs help. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm not saying that Andrew is like a murderer or a breaking the law. I don't like the words he used towards you, and I don't think he comes from a very good place. But maybe he's having maybe he needs to talk to somebody, and maybe you're right. Maybe he does have some serious addiction issues, and I really do hope he gets help. I don't wish the man ill will. I don't wish his wife ill will. I hope he gets the help he needs, but that is not an excuse, as you know, for the way he talked to you, attacking somebody because of their sexuality. And his excuse would be, well, she got personal with me first. Even if that was the case, why would you stoop to that level of attacking somebody because they're gay? I just think that speaks volumes of his character, regardless of whether he's addicted to smoking or addicted to alcohol.
No, I agree completely. And while I don't wish him ill, as much as I think he needs to go to AA, I think that because he has been responsible, I think, for spreading so much misery online. Like, I mean, I think that the clip in my interaction with him went so viral, not because I'm super cool and badass, or sorry, I didn't mean to say.
That's okay. You're good, you're good.
But because I think people really despise him. I think that he's made a lot of women feel awful about themselves. I think he's, preyed upon the minds of young men, made them more misogynistic. And I do hope that he reaps what he has sowed, which is I hope that he, him and his wife fall into obscurity. I hope that this is the biggest they ever get, and I hope no one remembers them. But he should also go to AA because he has kids. And as much as I think he and his wife are horrible, awful people, like, I don't want their kids to suffer for it, you know?
Of course. Yeah, of course. I will say this in jest. I do believe Andrew will get bigger, but I'm talking about the size in this area right here. I do think he will get bigger because nothing is more manly than a man that is like 5'8" and like, you know, has the beer gut and smokes cigarettes and is a chain smoker. Nothing more manly than that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, how vulgar can I get here? Let me get just a
PG-13. PG-13.
Yep. I'll just hint at it then. You know, it's a shame that he, you know, based on his comments, you would assume that he doesn't, you know, lick any sniz himself, which is a shame because a man of his habits, you know, heavy drinker, heavy smoker, and very, you know, overweight, unhealthy. I mean, I'd imagine that's the only thing he can do in the bedroom. That might be the only thing he could offer to her.
That might
I'm just saying.
I think that is a very, very good hypothesis. And I would tend to agree with you. If he's not functioning down there, or he's a mushroom, well, we know he's a Trump mushroom gobbler, but he might be a mushroom man himself. And if that were true, allegedly, if that were true, and he's not able to please a woman, you would think that is something. I think that's very reasonable, your hypothesis. And I don't know, maybe we can debate Andrew on this. I don't know, maybe one day we can talk to him about this. But I think that's a very reasonable hypothesis that you brought up there, Charlie. Okay, in seriousness, I'm sorry that he treated you that way. You sound like, you know, I spoke to you for the first time yesterday. You sound like a very nice lady. You're intelligent, you're a good debater, and quite frankly, you're too good for him. Okay. If you know, debate people that want to have reasonable discussions with you. Unfortunately, the Andrew Wilson, Myron Gaines types of people are not serious people. They say things for clicks, but at least Myron, I'll give him credit for this. At least he doesn't claim he's this wonderful debater and he charges people to debate. The fact that this guy charges you couldn't pay me $250 to sit there and listen to this guy for another hour, let alone, you know, a debate. It's just insane. But Charlie, I really do appreciate you coming on. Keep up the great work. And we'll let Andrew know the advice that you're giving him, because I think it's very sound advice. So I will clip this and I will tag him, because I know he's obsessed with me, and he does rage videos about me, and he breaks down my show because he can't come up with content of his own while he smokes his cigarettes. But I will clip this, and I think it's great advice that you gave him, at least in the sexual front of it. And I hope that literally and figuratively, the sexual front of it. And I hope he takes your advice, because maybe it sounds like his wife's a very unhappy person too. Maybe that's one of the reasons why. I don't know, but
I mean, you'd imagine so. With the way they act online, all they do is fight with people on Twitter. They have to be miserable.
Well, for the record, I will say this in his defense here. I will say this. I do fight with people on Twitter too, but deep down inside, I'm laughing while I'm typing, because I actually enjoy it. And I do lick sniz. I'm a proud member. Okay. So I will no problem saying that on a syndicated radio show. I do that. And I enjoy making somebody else happy. And you know, there's a lot of MAGA Trump supporters that seem like they perform verbal fellatio on Donald Trump on a regular basis. But anyway, Charlie,
very true.
What's that? Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you before you go, as my producer reminded me. I want people to follow you. There's a lot of people on social media that want to know, where could I follow Charlie? You know, where is she? So can you do me a favor before we go, Charlie? Give out that information, how people can follow you. Where can they go?
Yeah, thank you so much. I on every platform, I'm Enemy Charlie. Enemy, like not your friend, Charlie. And I stream on Twitch. I post on Instagram, and I'm on X, and a bunch of other platforms, but those are like my three main ones. But thank you for having me on, Brian.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to have you on again down the road, and hopefully we could talk about something else other than that fat blob. Anyway, thank you, Charlie, for being here. I appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you again. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. This was lovely.